Hello everyone and welcome to this pick a card reading video. In this video we will be dissecting what you can expect for your May of 2025. Of course you could have many things going on, but we will just be highlighting based off of the stack you choose what you can maybe expect and maybe draw some inspiration from. And yeah, let's just get into this. So here is stack 1A, stack 2B, stack 3C. You can pause if you like and if you need some more time to figure out which stack you are most drawn to. If you are not drawn to any of the stacks, that's completely fine. This just might not be the pick a card reading video for you. I have plenty of other timeless pick a card reading videos located all throughout my channel. As a reminder, everything I talk about and discuss in this video is for entertainment purposes only and cannot be stated as fact. Alright, let's get into it. Hello 1A and welcome to your part of the pick a card reading video. My cat is in front of the microphone, so you might hear him. Yeah, he's still purring, so I think you might be able to hear him, but anywho, he'll just help you with your reading. So the cards here laid out, I pulled 3 tarot cards. And the first tarot card, the 3 of Wands upright, represents how the month will start, the month of May. The 6 of Pentacles represents how it will progress, or what it will progress to. You could say around the middle of the month or just at any point in time, it will progress to the 6 of Pentacles energy. And then the end of May energy is 7 of Swords upright. And then oracle cards that I pulled for extra clarification are spiritual growth from the butterfly oracle cards deck and narcissist, someone who I cannot read. Someone is too full of themselves. There we go. So there's different ways in which this can be interpreted, and I will mainly be referring to the energy of this as being related to you specifically, but this could relate to somebody directly in your circle, so somebody who's a close family or friend, but for most of you this probably will more likely than not relate specifically to you. So how the month will start, we have the 3 of Wands. With the energy of this, I wonder if, so first of all, when I think of 3 of Wands, I think of people who do it. I mean, it even says one of the keywords is travel. 3 of Wands is very much a card associated with travel and moving with okay, Brittney. It is associated with moving or travel. I think the reason why I'm feeling this energy of not being able to be cohesive is because it relates to you all as well. But what I was going to say before is that this whole reading could relate to you now, or it could relate to you like as you are as an individual. And so it could be like a brief part of your personality or your life, or this could make sense for a lot of different things in your life, if that makes sense. So we're starting off though with the 3 of Wands, and that does normally deal with travel and moving. So in the beginning of the month you could be dealing with, well, if it's the beginning of a month, you could recently have moved or be in the process of moving. You could also be traveling somewhere out of your area, like out of your city or town or state. 3 of Wands is also about traveling far if you do end up traveling typically, but in this situation I just feel like for some of you could be traveling somewhere. But I think actually a key phrase or a key message for you all is that, again, whether this is something that's recent or will just happen for this month, or if it's part of your general personality, there's a sense that in the beginning of the month you'll be doing something as a form of escapism, and that can include traveling elsewhere or doing a lot of things, going to a lot of places. But think of any which way in which you engage in escapist tendencies. For some of you that includes mainly just staying at home and doing nothing. Any which way in which you escape. I'm seeing somebody who is running away from their problems and not wanting to face them head on. For some of you, there could be something going on in your life that you're trying to push away or set aside. And it's like you say that you'll get to it eventually, but really you're just hoping people forget about the situation or people move on from it. So in that case too, it could be that there's something that has happened recently, so it's already happened, and it's something that you're trying to just forget and move on from instead of facing it head on. So instead of facing it head on, you're just dealing with these tendencies that are escapist in nature. And then when we go to the middle of the month, that's really interesting since we have the Six of Pentacles. I wonder too if the way in which you are trying to evade or escape your problems while doing all of that, I wonder if there will be people who will recognize that. Six of Pentacles is very much surrounded by, not typically community, but I'm getting a big sense of community in this sense. Typically it's about sharing of wealth and resources, but there's a sense that people will try to help you tackle this problem and people will try to help you come up with solutions. But I feel like you're so, and this is where the scatterbrainness comes into play, I guess. Some of you are so scatterbrained and you're trying to avoid this thought or this event that's happened at all costs, and so it's preventing you from thinking clearly. And so people are trying to be helpful, and I think maybe you don't trust people right now, and especially if you don't trust yourself, it can be hard to even trust other people. But there's a sense that people, at least one person, it could be a group of people, will try to help you at some point to find solutions or to resolve this, whatever this issue is. Even if it's already been resolved, in this case, then people will try to provide either feedback in some way or just comfort, trying to show that they will be there for you. But I see it being very difficult for you to want to accept the help. And for many of you, I feel like you probably won't. But hopefully with me saying this, you will accept help so that we can prevent, right here, the Seven of Swords, which is going to happen more towards the end of the month. And with this energy, it pairs really well with the Narcissist card. Now, I think people throw around the word narcissist way too often. And I don't want to say that if you're listening to this that you're a narcissist, but it does help paint a picture of the energies we're getting here. So with this, let's focus on the Seven of Swords though. The Seven of Swords, I actually really do associate with narcissism if it does pop up. And that doesn't mean that you are a narcissist, it just can mean narcissistic tendencies, right? So I wonder if some of you, the ways in which people have tried to help you more toward the middle of the month or a little bit earlier in the month, if you end up developing this persona of, oh no, I've got everything under control, and I feel like a lot of you will lash out on other people in some way. But really, more than just that, I feel that you will think that other people can't help you. And I think some of you inadvertently don't even want to be helped actually right now. It's really interesting. It's like you don't want any help. If you're going to get help, you'll help yourself. And then if you can't help yourself, then you don't want anybody else's help. At least for this situation, that's how it's reading. So instead of you getting the help you need, it's like you'll take on everything. You see the person carrying the swords. I think you'll try to act like everything's fine and like, oh no, I got everything under control, even if it's not. Like, oh no, I'm not thinking about this thing that happened, or no, I'll be able to finish this thing, or I'll be able to find a solution, but then you won't. But you'll just say that you will, and you'll try to do that, or you'll try to find solutions, try to find ways to get rid of the situation anyway, or diminish the feelings you have towards it by, again, engaging in those escapist behaviors. And I think there are people in your life who are very worried about you right now because I think people are aware of these behaviors or these thoughts that you have that are very, again, negative in nature. And I feel like it doesn't just impact you, it impacts other people because other people are so worried about you. And I feel like you're not giving people, you're like maybe lying to people. And it could be as simple as, you know, again, lying, saying, oh no, I'm completely fine, there's nothing wrong. But then there is something wrong. So by the end of this month, it's almost like doing a loop back around to the beginning of the month where you'll engage in some sort of escapist tendencies, or you'll just lie and cover up how you're feeling about a situation or what you're doing to find any sort of solution to an issue that you're going through. And with the narcissist card too, again, I don't think a lot of you really are narcissists, but I just think you're taking on this idea that you've got everything under control, and I think a lot of you maybe are too prideful as well to accept help in this regard. Or you feel like other people's help, maybe because people aren't experienced in this area or haven't gone through something that you're going through. Maybe you'll think, well, people can say what they want, but I'm not gonna really take all of that into account. I'm just gonna focus on me. And by doing that, I'm going to only focus on what I want to focus on and maybe disregard what is going on. Some of you maybe think there's nothing wrong about the situation that you have in mind. Like, oh no, it really is all good in the past. But this is really indicating to me that Spirit is saying that's not the case. So you need to, I'm hearing, drop the facade and not think everything's going to work out in your favor just like that, or think that you have all the answers. Spirit really wants you to humble yourself this month and to not be afraid to ask for help or to be afraid to say that you are struggling in any way. That's something that will, once you're able to do that, it will really open you up. And any like deceptive or escapist behaviors or thoughts that you have, you'll see that you won't engage in those as much if you're able to ask for help and be honest and humble yourself. So let's see what it says in the guidebook now. It says spiritual growth. This card signifies that the change you're currently in the midst of or contemplating is part of your spiritual growth. It will bring about great blessings even if challenges present themselves along the way. As this experience comes to a conclusion, you'll know that you are very strong indeed. In fact, this situation will push you to leave behind your comfort zone. Axel, I'm sorry, it keeps trying to get into where the dice, the dice, I almost forgot about the dice. I'll get to that as well. In fact, this situation will push you to leave behind your comfort zone. You'll reach deep inside to a reservoir of strength that you didn't know you had. This strength is both peaceful and powerful, and it helps you learn new life lessons as well as let go of old pain and forgive your past. Additional meanings: spiritual seeking, a change of religion or new spiritual path, being true to yourself, a legal issue, a health challenge. I think this is actually a really perfect card for you all, honestly. And again, a balancing of going through painful situations, but that will bring you peace. I think this is a very important month for you. And then for the astrological dice, we have South Node. I don't even think I said this earlier. That's my bad. I'm so sorry. I have them out of the way because my cat keeps trying to play with them, so I forgot they were here until he was over there trying to get at them. And then, so I guess that reminded me. So kind of thank you, Axel. But yeah, South Node in Libra in the first house. And the first house is all about who we are ourselves. With South Node in Libra being there, it makes me think that if you believe in past lives, karmically, this is something you've had to deal with in past lives as well. With Libra being very much about vanity, I think a lot of you are very self-aware about, I don't even know if I want to say self-aware, you're hypersensitive to other people being, like, perceiving you. You want to be perceived a certain way. You want to be perceived as somebody who's got it all together, somebody who's strong, and somebody who doesn't need help. And this is something that obviously for a lot of you is probably part of your personality, with it being the first house. And also the first house deals with ego as well. So then back to narcissism and the Seven of Swords. So you really have to learn to humble yourself and break this cycle. This isn't something that I see being just for this month. The South Node is all about karmic cycles. So if you don't learn to break this cycle in this lifetime, it will just keep repeating. So whatever is going on in your life that will affect you in May or will continue to affect you in May, really think about utilizing the month of May of 2025 to really humble yourself. That's a really big thing, is humble yourself and grow and evolve. You can't do that if you don't learn to face yourself and your issues head on. So Spirit isn't saying this in a way to, I feel like honestly, in terms of the messaging, Spirit's being pretty gentle about how this is coming across. Because when ego is involved, the ego doesn't like to get hurt. Ego and inner child are pretty much one and the same. So you don't want to get hurt. So maybe there's stuff in your past too that you need to work through. With Libra being in the first house and with South Node there, I wonder too if a lot of you deal with people-pleasing tendencies and if that's something you've had to learn in childhood to help you survive, you know? So if that's the case, that's something you need to work on as well. Instead of being evasive, for some of you, it could be that you need to be head on with other people. Like, you need to straight up say what's going on in your life and not people please, because that's something that isn't good either. That could just, I'm trying to think of if there's anything more specifically about that, but I think Spirit wants me to just leave it at that, and that if it relates to you, you'll know what it means. But I will leave it at that. Thank you so much, 1A, for watching and listening to this video. I really appreciate it. If you like the video, you can like the video down below. It helps me out a lot. You can comment down below if you resonate with this stack, and you can update your comment in the future if you have any updates for all of us. You can subscribe to my channel. I have other timeless pick a card readings all throughout my YouTube channel, and I also have an ASMR channel, Brittney's ASMR, that you can check out linked down below in the description. Thank you so much again, 1A, and take care. Hello 2B, and welcome to your part of the pick a card reading video. Here, let me just situate the mic better. Okay, perfect. So for you, the first card that was pulled, which represents the beginning of the month of May, is the Eight of Swords in reverse. And then after that, what represents more of the middle of the month, or just sometime in between, you know, the beginning and end of the month, it represents the shift that will happen. So the shift from Eight of Swords in reverse to 10 of Swords upright for card 2. And then card 3 is 5 of Pentacles in reverse, and that represents more the end of the month energy. And then for the oracle cards, we have self-care and health. Health issues could arise. I think these cards are absolutely perfect. And then for the astro dice, we have the sun in Taurus in the 5th house. And I will get more to that later. I almost forgot for the first deck to do the astro dice stuff. But let's first focus on Eight of Swords in reverse, beginning of the month energy. So, really, well, first I want to say that the whole spread, and I mean, including the oracle cards, it all reads to me very much that this is a month about healing. And I don't want you to worry about the health issues could arise thing, but with the Eight of Swords being reversed and that representing the beginning of the month, it indicates to me stepping outside of your shell and putting yourself out there, even if you've been hurt in the past. And I really want to talk about that middle of the month energy. Maybe I'll talk about that too right now. The 10 of Swords upright is usually about loss or betrayal of some kind. So I think the healing that you will have for the month is really indicative of something probably that's already happened, although it could be something that happens this month, like the loss of a loved one or no longer being friends with anybody. But really, yeah, even on here it says death or ending of situation or relationship for the 10 of Swords. But I think for a lot of you, this could be something that's already happened, but it's something that you're still dealing with. And any sort of grief that you deal with is completely valid. And so that's why with this beginning of the month energy being the Eight of Swords in reverse, I actually really love that, because it indicates to me that despite what loss or despite what grief you're going through, you are still willing to put yourself out there. And I see this being a time also that's really scary for you, but you feel like it's also a time that you really need to move on with your life and not be plagued with negative thoughts, fear, and that includes fear of abandonment as well, where it's like you have to be willing in the beginning of the month in May to put yourself out there. I see you being able to do that, slowly coming out of your shell. For some of you, the Eight of Swords in reverse could indicate that you're more willing to talk with other people about this grief that you're experiencing or the loss that you've had. Being more willing to open up, and I see that being very healing too, opening up to other people. For some of you, it could even be as simple as opening up to yourself by journaling. But I feel like I see it for a lot of you, like one person, maybe two people that you're really close with. Even if it's your therapist, right? Like I see you like at least one important person, not a bunch of people, but at least one or two important people that you are able to open up with and being able to express your grief. And I think the more you talk through this loss of some sort or this betrayal as well, right? I think the more willing you are to open up about this, the more you'll heal from it and the more you'll understand how either you're not to blame or how if you're still dealing with the loss of a loved one physically here on this earthly realm, then it will help you realize just different things about that person and maybe how they would want you to live your life now. I see some of you maybe finding ways to honor as well certain people if you have lost somebody in that way. But if it is about betrayal or a different kind of loss, then I just see you opening up and being able to... Well, also, I want to talk about the Astro Dice too, just a little bit, because fifth house is the house of children, but it's also the house of creativity and entertainment. I think some of you could really... And Taurus is also a very creative sign, also a very nurturing sign. So I think if you were to do something... Well, and the sun, of course, deals with identity. So doing something that I think you're really good at creatively could be very helpful. So if you're a good writer, if you're a good dancer, like utilizing something to help you transmute your pain would be very helpful, transmuting the pain. So in the beginning of the month, I see you finding a way to release pain and also transmute pain and turning it into something more beautiful. And then in the middle of the month energy, we have that Ten of Swords upright. So I think this will just be indicative of the continuation of grief, how during the middle of the month it will strike you more. It could also be that there's something else completely that happens that causes pain for you, but if it does, I feel like it would be in relation to something that's already happened. But I see something happening where also, there could be something, where there's some sort of loss of some kind, and now you have to cut out people from your life. Like, for example, let's say you put up boundaries, went no contact with a family member, and let's say you have another family member who's really being mean to you about that. Maybe you'll have to have better boundaries with them as well. And it could be also that during this middle of the month, you find it... I don't want to say... It could be that you have opened up to somebody, but they've betrayed your trust and have told other people about something. Ten of Swords makes me think of lying type energy too. So be careful with who you trust around you during this time, because this is a very vulnerable time that you need to focus on your healing. But I just think with whatever grieving process you're going through, you'll have more realizations and epiphanies that can make it harder for you to heal. And it will make it harder for you to want to move forward in your own way. You might feel a little bit stuck, or you'll feel like you're not making enough progress. But remember that these kinds of things aren't linear. Healing is not linear. Grief is not linear. So if you have any missteps or if you have any mistakes... even if you like lash out at somebody for bringing up the topic or a person involved in this, forgive yourself if you end up lashing out. Obviously, like, ask for forgiveness for other people involved as well in those kinds of situations, but really be kind to yourself. I see there could be issues with potentially lashing out and then regretting that. That could be, I think, what this card indicates too, is regret. Some of you maybe regret the way you've handled things in the past, or you regret not saying that last goodbye, or you regret, just ending things with somebody, any sort of relationship. And so it will be a good time during the middle of the month to process. So beginning a certain part of the healing journey in the beginning of the month, and then, or stepping outside of your comfort zone, and then in the middle of the month, focusing on those realizations and opening up your mind from a perspective of no or little self-judgment. And then for the end of the month energy, we have Five of Pentacles in reverse. So this is also a card that's very indicative of healing. And this can be about financial loss, but I don't really get the sense of that much here. I get the sense of you'll be more stable toward the end of the month. So that's why it's like any road bumps that you go through, remember that I'm saying that by the end of the month that things should clear up more, or you'll get a better handle on things or your emotions so that you don't let your emotions run you. And so you are also able to keep living your life, not being stuck in the past or anything. And by the way, when I say not being stuck in the past, that doesn't mean you can't think about things from the past, but don't keep thinking the same thoughts and feeling shameful, because that isn't helpful or productive, coming from a place of trying to heal and help yourself. And I see that more towards that end of the month, where you'll work on healing yourself even more, and you'll find that you're more grounded by the end of the month, and almost like you'll feel like a reset. As in, I will continue on this healing journey. I'll be able to do this for myself. For the oracle cards, we have self-care and health. Excuse me. For health, I think the health issues that could arise, some of you, when you're more vulnerable emotionally, that can make you more likely to get sick physically as well. And if that first card really does indicate stepping outside of your shell, like being more social, then maybe if you're usually not very social, you're not as exposed to all the germs, or you're around kids more in May and older stuff like graduations and baptisms and weddings and stuff. So you maybe will actually get physically sick, but I think that the health card is indicative mostly, or more so, of mental and emotional health issues. Even spiritual health too for some of you. Because even with the Five of Pentacles, I know it deals mainly with, it's a very earth sign energy and like finances, stability, career, all that kind of stuff. But I also think about community when I think about the Five of Pentacles. It's very similar to me in some ways to the Three of Pentacles, depending on the spread. So I forgot where I was going with that. Anyway, so wherever I was going with that, if there's any messages there that you could relate to. I know I was saying about community, relating that back to that Ten of Swords too, where maybe people just lose your trust. But this is either way indicative of focusing on you. Don't focus so much on other people. I mean, even the self-care card before even reading the guidebook. It's really a time of focusing on yourself, mentally and emotionally. Think about the ways in which you've been drained, or where you haven't given yourself enough grace. Think about the ways in which you've overworked yourself. Think about the ways in which you haven't given yourself a break, is what I'm hearing. Like, give yourself time to rest and heal. Don't be always constantly running around and escaping issues. That's actually what I was talking about with the stack one, how they could have issues with escapism. For you, I just think this is about facing your emotions head on, and about, I'm just hearing it's time to heal. It's time to heal, and so it's time to digest the situation or the grief or loss involved here, to really digest that, and you'll feel a lot better hopefully by the end of the month when you're able to start working on healing yourself. And I think you'll have a lot more energy too, is what I'm hearing. But let's get to self-care in the guidebook. Oh, I almost flipped right to it. I was only one away. Okay. Self-care. Before a butterfly emerges with beautiful wings, it spends time in its cocoon. Similarly, this card is asking you to retreat for some much-needed rest and self-care. If you're breathing a sigh of relief upon reading this, that's another sign of the need for a healing pause. Self-care can take many forms, but the important thing is for you to look after yourself in a way that promotes your happiness, health, and high energy. This may involve a detox of your diet or getting away from any harsh energy relationships or circumstances. Yep. Take great care of yourself and you will fly high and free like a butterfly. Additional meanings. Go on a retreat, simplify your life, assert yourself, and learn to say no. That's the thing too, where some of you, maybe the Eight of Swords energy in the beginning is you asserting yourself. and getting ready, preparing yourself to break off a relationship or go into contact, have better boundaries. That could relate for some of you, definitely, most definitely. Where it's like the 8 of Swords, you're preparing. 10 of Swords, the loss happens. And then 5 of Pentacles is rebuilding yourself and nurturing yourself. So, I will talk about the Astro Dice now a little bit more. I think I pretty much covered it earlier. The 5th house does involve children though, so this is a good time if you are able to be around children to do that, but also this can be indicative of healing your inner child. It's really a time to think about the ways in which your past is reflective of your present. If there's any ways in which you cope now that aren't healthy or conducive, you can think about where those things come from in the past or where your emotions come from in the past. A lot of times how we react and what we think and feel in the present is related to the past. So thinking about things that have happened in the past, how they relate to the current, but also thinking about how to heal in this moment, doing something that your inner child or younger you would have loved to do. And I know I said earlier that it could be something that you're really good at. It doesn't even have to be. It could just be something that makes you feel creatively fulfilled, and that will be very healing and even energizing for a lot of you. That release, it will make space and more room for other things. So it could literally be anything. And if I think about Taurus energy specifically, that could be something even as it relates to like thrifting, right? Something like thrifting, or because I'm thinking of like fashion, also beauty, makeup, all that. Doing your makeup, doing your hair, going for part of self-care could be taking yourself on a date somewhere, to a restaurant or the movie theater. You don't have to go on a date with other people. I think actually this would be a really good month for going on adventures solo, like self-care dates, doing things by yourself and being okay with sitting alone and being by yourself and feeling the joy and happiness alone. There's a really big emphasis on that. Taurus is also very self-sustaining, even though it likes being nurturing to other people. But I think you'll be able to provide more nurturing energy to other people when you work on yourself for this month. That's a really beautiful message. Oh, I just got chills in the back of my neck. I will leave it at that though. Thank you so much, 2B, for watching and listening to this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked the video, you can like the video down below. You can comment down below if you resonate with this stack in any way, and you can update your comment again in the future if you have any updates for all of us. You can subscribe to my channel. It helps me out a lot. You can check out the other timeless pick a card reading videos located throughout my channel, and I also have an ASMR channel, Brittney's ASMR, that you can check out in the description down below. Thank you so much, 2B, and take care. Hello, 3C, and welcome to your part of the pick a card reading video. So, the cards we have here, the first card represents more of the beginning of the month, the 9 of Wands upright. The middle of the month energy is the King of Cups in reverse, and then more toward the end of the month is the Devil in reverse. The oracle cards are self-employment, and I'll get more to that later as well, but I do want to say that what it says in the guidebook when I read from there isn't exactly what I was thinking about in terms of how it relates to your deck, but again, y'all know what I mean when I get there. And then we have Gold Digger. They want your money being used. So we have that, and then the Astro Dice, we have Neptune in Leo in the 8th house. Your especially beginning of the month, middle of the month, well, I mean all of the months really, or all parts of the month, energy, all of it relates to the second spread as well. In many ways. So if you want to check that deck out as well, you can. But let's just get started. So we have 9 of Wands upright, and that represents the energy of more the beginning of May. And first, when I was looking at this card, I was thinking of, this is what I said first, I think, for the other stack. There's going to be a moment where you'll have to step outside your comfort zone, but I want to get further with that. So I was thinking and looking at the card. Intuitively, I was thinking and trying to see what other messaging I could get from it. And then I was also reading what it said underneath the 9 of Wands on this card. It says, undecided, need to take a step out of the situation, then you will see more clearly. And that's, the needing to take a step out of a situation is really an important part for a lot of you. The 9 of Wands typically is about setting boundaries. And even potentially being resistant. But in this case, I don't see it being a bad thing. I think for many of you, it's in May, what you have to do starting at the beginning of the month is to evaluate the relationships you have with people. And this is a good time to take a step back. Let's say that things in your friend group or family group have been very toxic lately. Now would be a good time to remove yourself and have better boundaries and say, hey, I don't feel like talking about this right now, or hey, I don't want to get involved in this. You can talk to them directly. You don't have to gossip about it with me. I feel like it's very draining of your energy, whatever this situation is. This group of people, it could just be with one person as well, where maybe you need to end a friendship or a relationship, or you just in some sort of like group or situation otherwise, where it's like, hey, you need to take a step back and you need to have better boundaries. This situation or these people involved could have a greater impact on your mental well-being than you realize, where I think once you step back, you'll get more of a sigh of relief and things will be a lot more clear for you in terms of the kind of relationship you want with these people, or how you decide to handle the situation. But it feels like some of you too could be overworking yourself in some way right now, and this is saying then you need to take a step back and take a breather and relax and see how far you've already come. So for some of you, that could be what relates and what makes even more sense. And I see it, people involved not understanding why you take the step back, or if you break off a friendship, then being like, well, we have a great friendship. What are you talking about? And you're like, you literally just called me a dumb B word last week. What are you talking about? Where I think there's a lot of people involved who could be very unaware and lacks that self-awareness. So you need to be somebody who then has self-awareness, and then removing yourself would, I don't think at first, but eventually it would have some people to open up their eyes and their mind as well to the situation that's going on. For the middle of the month energy, we have King of Cups. And for this, it indicates to me that, so the first word that came to my mind just now was lonely. Some of you might feel lonely and also like hold regret or feel like you're making a mistake in some way for not being around these people. You know what I was thinking of too when I was looking at the other card and I was talking about the Knight of Wands, is, I didn't say it, but some of you, May I think is a time where people maybe have more family reunions as well. Those types of things. I don't remember if I was talking about in this stack just a little bit ago or the other stack, but any big gatherings that go on, if you decide to opt out, you could then maybe, like, that's just an example. Or if there's something where your friends are getting together and they invite you and you would normally go, but you're like, I can't, I'm beat for the week. I think some of you will feel left out is a good word, like lonely or left out for the decision you have made to take a step back or to take a breather in some way, where I wonder if some of you struggle to actually be alone as well. Some of you, let me think. Yeah, I wonder if some of you struggle with being alone. You could have codependency issues in some way, or you could just always gain happiness and fulfillment through other people. That can even include helping other people as well. So I think that takes the focus away from you when you focus on other people's needs and well-being too much. So having these boundaries put in place or taking a step back, I think will make you realize how much you've been neglecting yourself. So for the middle of the month energy, it could also indicate that you're becoming more aware of that sentiment, and you maybe hold shame for how you've been neglecting your own needs, or you blame even other people potentially, as well as yourself, for your current emotional or mental state. And it just feels like a very highly emotional time where things might also be very confusing. I don't know how to explain it except for the energy feels very up in the air throughout the whole month, where it doesn't seem like For some reason, I feel the need to say that some people won't accept your apology, or that you shouldn't accept other people's apologies as well. I feel like there might even be people, like, out of nowhere from your past, even if you barely knew them, who are trying to contact you in some way. Or you find out that people have been talking bad about you behind your back. That's the thing, too. A lot of people could be talking about you behind your back, and you might be worried about that, or you might catch wind of some of that. Or people will post about you on Facebook or social media, or post, what do you call it when people reference you, but they don't directly quote you, you know, or, like, tag you. People could just be passive-aggressive in terms of the situation. And I think that will make you feel very much like you maybe made a mistake, or you'll just feel very alone. Really evaluate the people in your close inner circle. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of positive influences there. So maybe the people who you're more like acquaintances, or just low-level type friendship people in your life that you have, maybe those are the kinds of people you should get to know more. Because I think there's a lot of people in your inner circle who, even if it doesn't involve people in your inner circle, whatever the situation is, I feel like people just won't be understanding. It's like I'm seeing things go over people's heads, and also like in one ear out the other. So some people also could not understand, or just be uncomfortable with whatever situation it is that you're going through right now in your life. It just feels like a lot of people are. I'm just getting a lot of blank stares is what I'm visualizing. So that might be very hard for you to digest and process during this middle of the month. And again, some people may eventually come around, but I get a sense that external help and validation from people you might not even know very well could be very helpful for you. Yeah, I was trying to think if this could involve romantic stuff. I'm not really getting much romantic, vengeful ex or anything type things, although it could relate. I think a lot of this for you is familial and friendship-wise. Yeah, it's very similar to Stack 2, but I can't lie about what I'm sensing, feeling, hearing, seeing from what Spirit's saying. So let's just move on to that end of the month energy, where we have the Devil in reverse. Your mind will be a lot more clear. By the end of the month, it looks a lot better. Like, I'm seeing fields open to green grass and flowers. Like, before, there was just a bunch of dark, or gray clouds, I should say, and now everything's not so gloomy anymore. Things will clear. So again, some people will come back around to you, but I think it's more so that you'll realize your independence is really important to you. Like, your own self-autonomy is very important. You'll realize that you shouldn't engage all the time in groupthink, and that you shouldn't rely on the opinions of others or the validation of others. You'll feel a lot more self-empowered, and you'll just have a lot more clarity about who you are and who you want in your life. And I think you'll also no longer, if you were before, regret having any boundaries in place or having taken a step back. For some of you too, you could maybe even return back to this group or whatever it is. Some of you might even do that by the end of the month, but you just need some time away to like recharge. Does that make sense? It's like if you go to I don't know why this is popping into my head, but like an Alcoholics Anonymous, let's say you go to that every week, but then for the first 2 or 3 weeks, or even the whole month, you decide not to, and you just wait until the next month or whatever. I think that's just an example, right? Doing something like that where you take a breather, you take a break and then come back, I think you'll have a lot more clarity. You'll be a lot more clear-headed and level-headed. And there will be some healing done there too, in whichever way it best applies to you, of course, and some realizations that will come to you. But not in a way that's healing, not in a way that, well, more towards the end of the month. In the middle of the months, that kind of stuff might be jarring, but I see not only people coming back around you, but you also potentially joining or rejoining these things. And for some of you, you'll go down a different path. Like, hey, actually, I like having these boundaries, you'll realize, with certain people, or I like not doing this thing anymore. For some of you, too, I wonder if the thing you need to focus on is actually about being, like, having more rules for yourself. I don't know if that makes sense, but having, how do I want to say? Like, let's say you're somebody who wants to eat better, but you never are able to. And then for the month, you decide, hey, I really want to start eating better and eating healthier. And that's a really difficult process for you. But then by the end of the month, there's enough time that's passed. And it's like forming healthy and good habits takes some time. But then by the end of the month, enough time has passed and then you feel really good. So that's, of course, just an example. But something like that could be the case too, where for the whole month, the beginning of the month energy is that you need to focus on sticking to a plan. Middle of the month, it'll be hard for you to stick to that plan. You'll feel like faltering, or maybe you will falter, and it will be hard to get back on the bandwagon and continue on the plan that you have. And then end of the month, you'll be like, oh, okay, well, this isn't as bad as I thought it would be, or maybe it is, but now I feel much better, and I feel like I can continue on with this good habit. So for some of you, maybe this month, it's all about forming better habits, but along the way, it being more difficult, and it feeling like restrictive, but it doesn't have to be unless you allow yourself to think that way. That's why it's like the devil's in reverse. It's like it doesn't feel restrictive anymore. It feels good. It feels like this is something that's good for my health. Let's get to what it says in the guidebook now. Self-employment. It says you are guided to work for yourself in a field that brings you fulfillment and joy. Your card encourages you to launch or grow your own business. You could start part-time and then ease out of a day job as your endeavor begins to support you. If you are currently self-employed, you are being guided to seek out new ways to express your vision. Being your own boss usually means that you put in longer hours. However, the long hours feel more like devotion to a calling than work. You may partner with someone who brings extra skills to the table or consult with a mentor who can teach you business skills. Follow the path of your true interests and focus on your purpose of serving others. The rest will take care of itself. Additional meanings: taking business classes, learning how to market your business, taking over the family business, and changing professions. So for some of you, it could be about changing professions in some way. All this reading could be. So maybe you're leaving a toxic work environment or a work environment that doesn't suit you, and then on the path to trying to find work or adjusting, it could be difficult for the week. And then you end up being like, okay, well, everything's fine. I'm getting more adjusted, whatever. But I think the self-employment for a lot of you actually relates to the fact that you'll feel a lot more individualistic and you'll feel a lot more, again, self-autonomous, I guess you could say, where you'll feel a lot more reliant on yourself instead of reliant on other people. And you'll realize that you have all the resources you need to make any changes now. And you don't need to wait for any validation from other people. You don't need to ask for external help all the time. You can rely on yourself. You can rely on being able to get through, even if it's like alone and by yourself in whatever situation. You have the power and the ability to think clearly for yourself and to not be so impacted by other people or their judgments. And then for the gold digger card here, it says they want your money being used. Be careful. This is kind of almost a separate card for this week, but be careful about, first of all, if it does involve work or having a new job, taking on a new job, being interviewed, be careful about where you go for the positions you apply for, and if you're getting interviewed. If it feels scummy, it probably is. There could be somebody who lowballs you, or they're like, oh yeah, you get this much money, but maybe the insurance is really, really bad if you live in America. Just as an example, really evaluate if a job is more exploitative, or if they're like, oh, you don't have to work holidays, but then you end up having to. Really look at reviews for stuff is what I'm hearing, if that's the kind of situation you're in where you're maybe trying to get hired somewhere. But also just in general, I'm getting the sense that people are going to continue to try to drain your energy for this month, and people will try to take from you. And because I think you could be somebody who's there a lot for other people, or you're involved in this community of people where if you leave for a little bit, people will try to convince you to come back and step into this group community or situation when you won't want to, or you won't be ready to. So be careful about the people who are trying to engage in conversation with you for the wrong reasons, or people who are maybe even trying to hang around you for the wrong reasons. Maybe it's so that they can get the tea on what's going on in your life and then gossip to their friends or your main friend group even about what's going on in your life. Just be careful. This could be a very vulnerable month for you, and I feel like other people are more likely to try and jump on the bandwagon and take advantage of you. And it could be financially, but I'm getting more so people having access to your secrets or your personal life in a way that they don't need to, because they could exploit that and tell it to other people. So now I will go to the astro dice a bit. Neptune in Leo in the 8th house. To me, when I was reading this, I was feeling very like, this is a very odd combination, but it makes sense to me because it feels like also a very powerful combination. 8th house is all about those secrets, the unknowns. So it should hopefully be really, especially that middle of the month, it should be a very reflective month. Neptune is very healing as well. Neptune and Leo are also very creative. So one of the messages though I was hearing earlier when I had just pulled all of these or rolled all of these die was that healing for you could come in the pain. Healing could come through. How do I want to say this? You're healing. You're able to heal from pain, but in a way that's, I guess, creative. Or what am I trying to say? Not even just that. Not like, yes, utilize your pain as something creative, but I guess utilize it as something conductive. I see you. Neptune, okay, let me go back. Neptune is very retrospective, so I see this being a time, especially during the middle of the month, where you're able to, and 8th house is very reflective as well, where you're able to uncover some truths on your own. And Leo is very independent, so on your own, being able to uncover truths for your own life and for what you feel is happening not only internally but externally. Not being afraid to be investigative, there we go, and not being afraid to ask questions to yourself and other people. It's actually a really good time to question your own thoughts, your own beliefs, and also the other people around you. It's like, what do they actually think and feel, and why do they think and feel that way, and why do I agree or disagree with that? It's a good month for asking questions. And doing your own proper research is what I'm hearing. Like, doing your own research, doing things, again, it's very much, I don't know if I keep saying week or month, but it's very much a month focused on you, your wants and needs, and doing things independently. So really think about your thoughts, beliefs, how they relate to other people, and if they really align with other people in your life. And if you feel like other people aren't on the same page in life as you, and it's something that you need to work through, like have better boundaries with them, then do that and realize that it's for the best. And earlier though, I was trying to say about the creativity thing, where I just feel like basically beauty is pain. Like, something beautiful will come out of any pain that you're experiencing right now or as of late, and it feels like you'll come out on the other side feeling just more self-confident, self-sufficient, and self-reliant, where you don't have to, again, I have to keep emphasizing not having to rely on other people, their thoughts, or what they have to say. And sorry, my building is making a bunch of noises, even though we're almost done. Pretty much we are done. So yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Thank you so much, 3C, for watching and listening to this video. I hope you enjoyed it. You can like the video if you liked it. You can comment down below if you resonate with this deck, and you can update the comment again in the future if you would like to provide any updates for us all. You can subscribe to my channel. It helps me out a lot. You can check out the other timeless pick a card reading videos located throughout my channel, and you can check out my ASMR channel, Brittney's ASMR, located down below in the description. Thank you so much, 3C, and take care.